All right, so we're back with the Camaro. We got it running pretty good for what it is. And so we got rid of the mass airflow that was in the draw-through configuration. The air filter is one of the ones that comes in those Amazon kits for the Silverado, the cold air intake kits. It looks like that style filter. And it was absolutely crushed and flattened and misshapen for whatever reason, but I removed the mass airflow and then just kind of put it back on and got rid of our O2s as it's in open loop, so it's not going to be making any corrections. Don't need to be there. And got our inlet air temp in. This is stainless. I was shocked by that. It's pretty heavy. I don't know why they did stainless in the. It looks like they cut it with a chisel or something. That's pretty bad. So yeah, the inlet air temp's all wired in and working as it should. The typical DIY auto tune or something with the pigtail and everything. Then we got these are the Holly fuel rails are for the trucks. So they have where you can put the clips on the injectors. Most of the time they don't have that. They're just stick in there. This one, because these injectors are taller than trucks, so they actually use little ball bearings as spacers to stack on each other. So had to get this tight and fitting, as you know, that's always an issue. But with the clearance to alternator and the fuel rail, so got a dash 8 going over into the other side there, and then so we got our main feed coming in the back here of the fuel rail, coming up with a dash 8 into the fuel rail, crossover, come around to the regulator, and then out the bottom, and then use what they had as their stock feed, deadheaded feed, as a return. There's actually a little plastic part of the intake there that worked out perfect for mounting the regulator there. I thought that was kind of cool, and used a 3/8 by -6 connector there to tie back in. So fuel system now is working as it should. I put a ZR1 map sensor and then the pigtail that plugs in and goes to the normal LS1 map sensor connector. And then what I've been doing is just making a little aluminum piece and putting some bends in it, so when you tighten the bolt down, it gives some pressure to hold it down in the hole. So I cut the tab off for the stock piece on the opposite side, and then you actually have to drill the hole a little bigger so it fits in these intakes, because I think it's 0.48 the diameter of the hole, and you just kind of go easy because you want it to have a good seal. And then, like I say, this little piece just holds it in there. And I got rid of they had like a T fitting right here. I got rid of that and just went straight to the intake. They had the grounds going to the coil brackets that are under here, and then the coil brackets are like welded to the motor mount on there, and then everything was, it wasn't a good ground, so I redid it and put each side directly to the cylinder head as GM would want it. So got all that cleaned up, but when I got it running, it fired right up and everything, but when you tried to rev it up, it was like it was hitting a wall or something. It just would get to about, I think it was 2400 or something, and it just would not go past it. So I was kind of confused by that, really didn't know what was going on. I was looking at the data log, all the map readings and everything looked to be as they should, but the problem was, I'll get to in a second, but I talked to the dyno guy and was explaining to him, and he said, well, maybe it's those injectors, the data they have with them isn't that great. So, we'll just get a set of injectors. So I didn't want to throw money at the car. I had a set of flex injectors, 33 pound. So I flowed them, just put some brake clean in them with pressure, and then pulsed them on the battery and made sure they all had a good spray pattern, and put them in here with the known data, and again, same thing. Just hitting a wall there around 2,400 RPM and just would not rev up. So I got to thinking about it and trying to figure out what was wrong, and actually just went and typed in on Google, LS swap won't rev. And actually it's very common. So the culprit was this harness and computer and everything is for a 4L60. So it thinks it has a transmission and thinks it's in park, so it's not letting it rev up, which seems obvious now, but at the time it didn't make sense. So what I did is I found a file in the tune repository with the same operating system and OS swapped the transmission part to a manual transmission, and then went through a couple of the tables, and made them match the T56 tables, and boom, revved up, sounded good, had a good clean rev to it and everything. And I was like, all right, finally, figured it out. And then put his injectors back in, and then put the data, the 80-pound data in for them, because they look like 80-pound decas, but they have, each one has a different part number. It's kind of weird. I'm not sure. I don't know what kind of injectors they are. I couldn't find the part number, but it revs up good, and it's running well enough where I feel confident he can take it to the dyno and get the tune cleaned up and dialed in and everything. This down here, that's the wastegate, so that little tube right there is probably going to cause boost creep, I would imagine. So I don't know how far he's wanting to go with the car. He couldn't even drive it before, so now he can at least drive it and get the tune cleaned up on the dyno, and it's a lot more he can do with it now than it could when it first got here. And then in the back here we did so this is the discharge from the top. I just kind of used what I was given and then put the return back down into the bottom so it's below fluid level. It's a 450 with a hydromat. This is so what they did is they have a bulkhead fitting here that has a hose barb, a 3H hose barb on the bottom, and then they have, they had a piece of hose that said not for fuel injection use going down to the pump that was in there. And so I put submersible fuel hose that's very expensive. It's like $30 for a foot or something like that. So I put that in there, the 450, used their little hanger and put it all back together. And then this fitting right here is actually a -6 to a -8, and then I had to use a tight radius because it was actually bumping the deck lid up here, so it closes with this tight radius and all. But they actually make fittings where you could go from like a -6 hose to a -6 connector, and also from a -6 hose to a -8 connector. So I have done that before. I found them on Summit, but this one I just did this little adapter. But it would have been better if I would have looked up a -8 to a -6 to match what they had to fit the discharge of it. But it works pretty good. Like I say, I don't know how far he's intending to go with the car beyond, getting the tune dialed in on the dyno and everything. The bottom of the car is pretty sketchy. I sent him some pictures of it. It's it's a lot of, let's just say I've never seen one like this before. And the drive shaft is pretty far out of the transmission, the tail housing of the transmission. So I would be very scared of trying to do much with this thing, because that drive shaft coming through the floorboard, falling out and whatever. But like I say, I showed it all to him, and hopefully he'll get the drive shaft, a longer drive shaft, and address some of the chassis issues. And hopefully he can turn around and make something nice out of it. I don't think he likes the extended part. Like I say, it's about right here is where they extended it. And I'm not sure. My thought is they did that years ago, and then, it gave them room to build the turbo setup like this. I don't think they lengthened it to do all this. I think it was, they probably bought this big tire car, and then somebody else swapped it with minimal skill, and it's amazing. I was blown away by this. Just haven't seen one like this before. So anyway, picked up another project yesterday, so I'll make another video on that. I think you'll like that one. It's another truck. It's shocking, I know, but I'll do a video on that here in a little while and post it up. And he should be coming to get this one tomorrow, hopefully. But that's it for now.